for a while. Oh, no, let's go. Oops, and now, oh no, we're gonna wait. The car's broken. Okay. You almost need like a slow drum roll here. Dun, dun, dun. I haven't spotted it yet, but I do know what it is, so I have an unfair advantage. We're going over. Just trying to have a look. Let's maybe go through this little gap. Can you see it yet, Dave? Yes, everyone looking. So we've got lion cubs, cheetah, ostrich. Oh, whoopsie. Attack. Okay. I think we're going to get a visual in the next few seconds. Have you spotted it, Dave? I know what it is. It is a leopard, but which leopard is it? Ah, it's a leopard. But who could it be? Oh, don't go. Disappear on the termite mound. There we go. There it is, disappearing from us. Ah, look there, it's Sindile. You can see his collar. Now, he's been popping up and around all over the place recently. He was all the way about 40 kilometers away from us in the Kruger, but he's back. But let's stick with him. Now, if we do have any new viewers who are a little bit confused by why this leopard is wearing a collar, it's a really long story, and I was there the day that this story began, sort of. So what happened is that he was about a year old, and he caught a rabid dog that came in to the area, and unfortunately he had to go into quarantine. So he left the bush and he had to go get rabies injections and all sorts of things. And after about 8 months out of the bush, he was released back into the area where he was darted and removed, and he is now back. He's now a nomadic male. He's too young to hold territory. So he is nicknamed the Wanderer, or Cindile, the Survivor. Now, he is the only cub of the female leopard Shadow who's made it to adulthood. And he's doing a good job of wandering around these thickets at the moment. I wonder why. Maybe he's on the prowl for something. Oh, quickly, before we go past beautiful little Coqui Franklins. Look at that. Hiding from us. But, well, let's get back to young Cindile. But always nice to notice the small things that are around us as well. Where did he disappear to? Just lost visual of him. Dave, do you see him? Oh, that was close. There he is. Look at that. Well, he's looking like he's not too hungry, but he could definitely eat. And I just noticed he's got a kill in a tree. Isn't that awesome? Let's just go a bit closer. Maybe he's going to be going up that kill. The last time I was tracking Sindile was actually very close to here, and I found where he had lost his kill to hyenas. So it looks like he's learnt his lesson, and he's popped it up in a tree. Okay, so it looks like he's lying down now. It looks like a little steenbok that he's caught. Okay, we're just going to watch out there, Dave. Get ourselves into a good spot. Oh, it still looks like there's quite a lot of meat on there. Maybe it's a bit bigger than a steenbok. Maybe it's a young impala. And we'll have a closer look now. Hello, big boy. You've grown so much. There he is. Now, I know a lot of you might be a bit worried about that collar, but it's one of these fancy new ones that when the battery starts getting very low, it pops off all by itself. And then it sends a GPS signal, so the scientists who put that collar on can come collect it and get all that data. And he keeps looking up in the tree, and it looks like an impala to me. There we go. Looks like an impala, maybe one of last year's babies, or even an adult female now that I'm a bit closer. And as James Richard says, all that suspense was totally worth it to see young Sindile, a.k.a. the survivor, a.k.a. the wanderer. And he is looking in a very good condition. He's just got to watch out in this area for Mr. Tingana. And of course, wouldn't it be funny if Mvula came here and happened to steal his kill again? No, just hang on a second. Has he got 2 kills in that tree? Just give me a second, I just need to notice. Or is it just another piece of the kill? That's very strange. I'm going to have a closer look a little bit later. But it looks like there might be... No, it's just the leg. If you come down, it's one of the legs got caught, obviously, while he was coming up. So there is another leg there. I thought there might be a duiker as well as an impala. Now, the only reason I thought that is because young Quarantine was seen on Torchwood with an impala and a duiker in a tree. So what happens, he caught the impala first, and then a duiker happened to wander close to him, so he pounced. There we go. He's resting now. His meat is safe from hyenas. Tiggy, yes, Sindile seems to have learned the hard lesson about treeing your kills, even though his mother is probably one of the worst leopards at hoisting her kills in our area. But so wonderful to catch up with him and to see him in such good condition. I know he's a favorite of a lot of our viewers out there, and such a wonderful story. I mean, a lot of us didn't think he'd ever come back to the wild, but here he is, wild and free in the African bush again. absolutely magnificent. Anna Marie says his face looks a lot like Anderson's. Oh, Anna Marie, it's very, very difficult to say whether his dad is Anderson based on physical identifiers, and the only way to tell will be from genetics. Hello, mister. Now, we spent many, many joyful hours with this young male when he was younger, before he went into quarantine. One of his favorite tricks is when you tracked him on foot, he used to follow you back to the car. Yes, you did. And he's looking quite content. Impala in the tree, a bit of shade. Now, the one thing that might be a little problem for him is the particular tree he's chosen to put that Impala in. We don't know whether he had to do it under pressure, if there were hyenas around when he did it, but it is very open, and there's a very strong possibility that a vulture might be able to spot that. So he might have a hard time keeping the vultures at bay. And with all the lion kills that are happening at the moment, we do have a lot of vultures in this area. Hi, Jennifer, in San Francisco. Now, Jennifer said that they were told that the collar would fall off when there was a certain amount of pressure. Yes, so it's either pressure or battery. So if the battery gets too low, and that release mechanism might not work, so if the battery gets to a certain point, it will automatically trigger the release mechanism, or when the collar gets too tight. So we're going to sit here. Hopefully he goes up the tree and has a feed just now. But while we do that, let's go back to Adam and the Eddies. Well, hopefully Adam can come have a look after the safari. But there we go. Young Sindile. I'm really hoping he does go up the tree. Just look how those colours merge with the dry winter bushveld around. Keeps looking up at the kill, and as I said, doesn't look too fat just yet. So maybe he will climb the tree before the end of the safari. They're doing predator research in other parts of Africa, and it is a very funny one. You never quite know. Sometimes the batteries last 3 years. Normally, they're supposed to last about 18 months, but they normally don't last nearly as long as that. And it also depends on the type of collar. So you've got different types of collars. You've got radio collars that work off telemetry, that ping. And then this is now, this has both. So this has got radio telemetry as well as satellite GPS. So that top one will ping a satellite, and that'll let the Gerry, who's the scientist who's doing the research on male dispersal patterns, will let him know exactly where he is. And judging from those pings, you can actually work out when he's on a kill, because he'll be in one area for a couple of days. And it's quite difficult to see direct movement, because obviously it doesn't ping all the time. Normally they ping, I think, twice a day. But as the battery gets a little bit older, they'll generally only ping once a day, sometimes even once a week. Now, Anne in Durban, hi Anne, always great to have you with us, Anne. Anne says, isn't it amazing that his removal from the Sabi Sands could possibly have aided in his survival? That's a very interesting point to look at, Anne. It is possible. But, I mean, he was almost independent by the time he grabbed that unfortunate canine. So I think he might have been okay. He was already eating for himself quite frequently. And Shadow being Shadow used to leave him for extended periods all on his own. So even though his eyes are closed and he's sneezing, watch his ears. They're still on the move. If a vulture attempts to feed on his kill, most definitely, Birdie, he will protect that kill very aggressively. Now, come on, boy. It's time to go have a snack. So it looks like an adult impala the longer I look at it. We'll try have a closer look at it just now. Is this just special? Sitting quietly next to young Sindile. Now, Tobias is wondering, when his collar does fall off, how do I think it'll affect him? I don't think it'll affect him at all. He probably notice it for the first while, but then after a few days, he probably won't notice it at all. That head getting heavy. See how those ears are always working. He's got a lovely dark coat, much darker than his mum. He is going to be a magnificent male when he gets to his prime. Now, let's go from some spots to some stripes with Adam. So we've changed our position slightly, and of course now he turns his head the other way. What has he heard? He's looking back behind him. There we go, back through the gap. That's where we want him to look, straight at us. Oh, pretty boy. Now he's eyeing his carcass. We are hoping that he will maybe take a leap up the tree. Now, James Richard wants to go into controversial territory. But let's take a dabble at it. So James says he heard that some of the other lodges are hesitant to go to a sighting of this leopard because of the collar. I can understand why. Now, for us, of course, it's an incredible story, and in his case, I think it's an abnormal story and a real sort of success story. But I know a lot of lodges, especially in the Sabi Sands, their main income is off tourism. And a lot of that is photographic tourism. So you get lots of people with lots of big cameras. And collars are not very pretty on your photographs. So that's one of the reasons a lot of the lodges do not like collars. Now, there are plenty of areas where animals are collared, sometimes for their protection. For example, Karoo National Park. There was that male lion who kept escaping and getting stuck into the cows and goats outside the reserve. So he was collared for his protection. So every time he got out, national parks could get him and bring him back, for an example. Now, other collars are used for scientific data. So Panthera does have collars on certain animals. Generally, in the Sabi Sands, collars are not really needed. Our leopards are habituated enough. We've got great trackers, so we can find them without a collar. But if you imagine, if you're doing research in one of those vast wilderness areas in Kruger or in Botswana or in Zambia or Zimbabwe, and there are not many roads, and a collar is a very important tool to see how the dispersal of a leopard works, and to see if it's different from an area where there's high ecotourism. So it all depends. So there is a place for collars and there's a place for not. They're not really needed in the Sabi Sands. Almost all the behavior that's recorded by the different safari companies is documented and fed through to Panthera, sightings, scat. So, but I do understand why Sindile was collared. As I said, this is a very abnormal situation. And the reason for that being is that, as far as I know, he's one of the first leopards to go for rabies treatment and be successfully released back into the wild. So that for me is fascinating, and I understand why he was collared, because they wanted to see whether his dispersal pattern fitted in with what normal young male leopards would do, whether being in captivity for a few months would have changed his movements or what he was going to do. And we have seen and documented some incredible interaction, especially with him and his mother, who has now got another cub, or we hope she's still got another cub. So there's been lots and lots of important stuff that could have been gleaned from this collar. So I would say in this situation, it's an abnormal situation, so I don't personally see any problem with the collar. But I can understand from an aesthetic point of view why quite a few of the safari lodges wouldn't want to go to sightings of this leopard. Now, of course, as I said, for us, it's a fascinating story. We've been there through him grabbing the dog, him leaving the reserve, him coming back and being spotted for the first time. So, of course, we love seeing Sindile. And we must remember, we are a lot more invested. We've been following him his whole life. Where there is a lot of guests only coming in for 2 or 3 days and then moving on to the next spot. Oh, tired kitty. Let me just try and move forward, I think, slightly. How's that, Dave? Is that the spot? There we go. Now, Spike's wondering why not put a chip in the animal for tracking purposes. The range on the chips is very, very low. You cannot feed it through to satellite generally, especially if he goes into a drainage line. The other thing is, in some of the tests with chips, it looks like that some of those chips can cause cancerous growths on the animals. So the technology for chips probably hasn't quite evolved enough for the use on tracking wildlife yet. But possibly in the near future, maybe with technological developments, an under-skin chip would be a better option. But for now, for the least effect on an animal, and also you must remember, a chip is an invasive procedure. You've got to cut open the animal, you've got to break the skin, you have to insert the chip, you have to then stitch the animal back up, and then when that chip runs out, you've got to then re-dart the animal, cut it open again, take the chip out. Whereas with a collar like this, he only needs to be darted when the collar is put on, and the collar will get off by itself. So as I said, there's two ways that collar will snap off. One, there's a pressure sensor. When his neck gets too big, that collar will immediately pop off. Secondly, if the battery starts getting low, the collar will pop off to ensure that there's enough battery to activate that big kill, nice big impala, waterhole not far away. So David's wondering what type of vehicles has Sindile been exposed to over the last few months. So David, he would have been exposed to mostly game drive vehicles like he's exposed to up here in the north. The majority of the time he has stayed within the Sabi Sands, or he has been into the wilderness areas in Kruger where there are no other vehicles. Now, the only time he might have been exposed to normal vehicles, but one must remember where he was left by shadow was often on Gowrie Main, so he was often surrounded by commercial vehicles, transfer vehicles, so he has a particular sort of nonchalance against all types of vehicles. And I have seen him stalk a VW Polo before when he was about 7 months old on Gowrie Main. So since he's come back, the only time he might have been exposed to those types of vehicles was in his short trip to Skukuza in the Kruger National Park. Is he seen? There's some animals or impala or something behind there. He keeps looking into the distance. Okay, well, we're going to sit here, see what he gets up to. While we do that, and it is so exciting to catch up with him again, let's go see where Adam is exploring. Here he is. He hasn't moved much. He's probably going to move shortly. As you can see, the shade is receding from where he is sleeping. And probably doesn't look like he's going to climb the tree before the end of the safari this morning. I think he's going to doze in the shade. He might move a little bit deeper into the shade behind him as the sun comes through. I think it's going to be a scorcher today. I think we might get over 30 degrees Celsius, about over 90 Fahrenheit. And this is winter still for us. Well, we are coming towards the end of winter. Hi, Bill, who's from the nursing home in Michigan. Bill is wondering, will Sindile share his kill with his mother? Probably not now. I think his mother will try to avoid him at all costs. The last time we saw them together, she physically attacked him aggressively, repeatedly. And she has had another cub. We're not sure whether she's lost that cub or not yet, because she was seen mating with Tingana not so long ago. But she did the same thing when he was about the same age, just under a year. And she seems to have some very strange behavior when it comes to cubs. But it's very, very unlikely that he would share this kill with his mother at the moment, or mostly because if his mother caught wind of him, she would try to avoid him at all costs. Now, Stephen's wondering, how does a leopard's eyesight compare with human eyesight? Well, Stephen, I always remember it's rods and cones. A leopard has more rods, so they see in black and white, and all sort of shades of grey, and they don't see detail like we do. So their eyes are designed to pick up movement, and that's why. Ooh, look who spotted the kill. He hasn't spotted, Sindile hasn't spotted, but I'm pretty sure that battalier and that glance over there might have spotted that piece of meat in the tree. Now let's see, we'll see if it comes back around for a second. Oh, there we go, he spotted the battalier as well, popped his head up, and now look back down. So he'll be very conscious of any, specifically battaliers. Tawny eagles are another great thieves of leopard kills in trees. The problem with battaliers and tawny eagles is that they will attract the other vultures, the bigger species, the white-backed, lapid-faced, white-headeds. Oh, sorry, I'm just talking about leopard eyesight. So they don't see detail, they see in sort of a blurry black and white. And now that's the best type of eyesight to pick up any movement. So, and a lot of the predators Sorry, I can't see what's going on here. It is very difficult in this light. He's just popped his head behind that stump. I'm just going to move forward slightly. Say when, Darby. Now watch, as soon as we move forward, he's going to pop his head back down. There we go. Okay, so that's the best type of eyesight to pick up movement. Lion, leopard all have quite similar eyesight like that. And they don't really need to see colour. They're not fruit eaters, and if it moves, the general rule is you can eat it. So, and the eyesight's very, very different from primate or human eyesight. Now, the one negative for young Sindile is where this kill is. It is in an area that Tingana likes to patrol through regularly. And Mr. Tingana is a great wanderer, and he walks massive distance. He's got one of the largest territories for a male leopard in the Sabi's hands. Trying to see if that Bateleur is doing another swing over. Now, Bateleurs are one of the first birds to spot kills, generally before the vultures. He's looking to where that Bateleur flew off to. No, but I think he might have got lucky. I think that Bateleur might have missed it. All the Bateleurs playing coy. Wait for him to put his head down flat before sneaking in. But it has been an absolutely wonderful sunrise safari. Unfortunately, my dreams did not come true. And I didn't find any cheetah, even though I dreamed of cheetah last night. But I definitely will take young Sindile as a more than adequate supplement. So great to catch up with him. So great to see him looking so well. And I hope you guys enjoyed your time with Adam as well. And we'll let Adam come have a look at the leopard after drive. But